Hey everybody, this is Meera and welcome to the Plan Intensive Challenge. I'm super excited to have you here. Just a quick recap. What is the goal of our challenge? Our goal of this challenge is to walk away at the end of the 5 days with a solid 6 months plan for 2022. So what do I mean by a solid 6-month plan? This means that we're going to get crystal clear on the projects that we're going to be creating, the projects that we're going to be tackling, specific things or new ideas that we want to create and bring to life in those 6 months. But we're going to push ourselves a little bit more and also come up with content pieces, content ideas that are going to support those specific projects. Now, we're not actually going to be writing those specific content pieces, but you're going to have an understanding of what specific content pieces would support each of those different projects. Now, you should have already received an email from me today with the link to download those worksheets. Okay, go ahead and do that, and it'll help you walk through this particular training. If you have not yet signed up for the Plan Intensive Challenge, then I'm going to leave a link below. Go and sign up, and you're going to get access to the worksheets, and you'll receive an email from me every single day over the next 5 days with the worksheets and resources that are going to help you through this particular challenge. Okay, now for some reason, if you signed up but you didn't get an email, then just hit reply on any email from me and let me know, and I'll take care of that. Okay, so let's kick off today by doing a business deep dive. Now, why is it important to do a business deep dive? Because typically when we want to plan and we are excited for the new year, we just want to jump right in and start putting together what's going to happen in Jan and Feb and March, but we forget about the journey that we've been through because we have access to a lot of information, a lot of data from launches that we did that worked or didn't, emails that we've sent, pieces of content that we've created. So we want to ask the right questions that would allow us to analyze all of these different aspects and bring that information into our plans for 2022. Okay, so some of the things that we're going to be tackling are perhaps revenue streams that don't work, or projects that you want to shelve, or new things that you want to create. We are going to be really diving deep into that. So there is a little bit of work that goes into specifically day one, because it might require you to maybe go into your email service provider, dig up a couple of emails, look at those stats, look at your landing pages, dig up the stats from there, perhaps even to relook a launch and look at how it did, look at the click-through rate, look at the conversions, all right? So I'm just giving you a heads up. There's quite a little bit of work to do, but do not skip day one because it's really the foundation for the other days in the challenge. Now, just a quick reminder, if you do have questions, drop them in the group. No question is out of bounds. You can ask me a question about the training or about any of the resources, or even if you're reading my book or you're reading Create and you have a question from there, go ahead and drop it in the group. If you're ready, let's dive right into day one. Okay, let's start our business deep dive. So we are going to be focusing on figuring out what's different today compared to a year ago. So start of the year, end of last year, and how have things changed. So if you've been a part of my challenges before, you have been through my books or my content, you know that I always talk about different stages of growth. So what you want to do is figure out, and if you've been on my previous Plan Intensive Challenge, then you would know what stage of growth you were at. And you have to figure out what's your stage of growth right now. So within your worksheets pack, I've given the various milestones for each of these stages of growth. Go and dig that worksheet out and figure out, okay, where am I right now? Perhaps at the start of the year, you were in the startup phase, but now you are in growth phase 1. Or perhaps at the start of the year, you were in growth phase 1, but now you are in growth phase 2. Okay, have a look at that, because based on your stage of growth, we would know, okay, what is our focus of growth? What should we pivot to, or what can we start focusing on? So this is a good place to start by looking at our different stages of growth. Okay, now the next thing you want to look at is to notice trends that you're seeing in your business. Okay, because you want to figure out if is this a trend or is this just a blip? Okay, because if, let's say, you are saying that, my revenue is dropping or my traffic is dropping, or it's terrible, or my revenue has just plummeted this month, you need to figure out, is this a consistent issue? Which means, has this been happening over several months now, like 3 to 6 months? Or is it just a one-off thing? Is it something that happened recently? Because you don't want to make changes based on a blip. You don't want to make any massive changes based on something that just happens over a month, all right? You want to make changes. You want to make proper decisions, specifically if you are noticing a trend. Okay, now what exactly are we looking at when we're talking about trends? We are specifically looking at KPIs that we are tracking, all right? KPIs that matter. So KPIs are called key progress indicators. Okay, so perhaps these could be new enrollments, it could be revenue, it could be net new subscribers, all right? Perhaps these are the things that you're tracking, all right? And you want to take action based on KPI trends. So if, let's say, your hypothesis is that my rate of subscriber growth is declining, you don't want to make a decision based on growth that's declining for just 2 weeks. You want to take action based on a trend that you see perhaps over the last 3 months, over the last 6 months, for instance. So don't react without any form of basis. Don't take decisions based on one-off events. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through a couple of trends that you may be seeing. So the first one is when you are at sub-zero. Now this is pretty standard. This is how most of us would look like when we are new businesses. All right, so what should the focus be when you're at sub-zero? This is where you want to start communicating and engaging with your audience. You want to start building a list. You want to start putting in place systems that would enable this audience growth, that would enable you to engage and communicate with them. So this translates to building your foundation. So what does building your foundation mean? As I talk about this a lot in the blog startup, in the 1 hour content plan, this means having a solid nurture sequence. Okay, this means starting to put in place your minimum viable email marketing. All right, so that would mean a lead magnet, it would mean a landing page, it would mean a nurture sequence, and one main traffic channel. All right, so where exactly are you going to start promoting your content, or where exactly are you going to start promoting your lead magnet? Don't spread yourself thin. Okay, so this could be maybe just focusing on Pinterest, perhaps just focusing on maybe Facebook, or just focusing on perhaps Instagram. All right, different traffic platforms would cater to different types of audiences. So you should pick one based on where most of your audience are hanging out on. All right, now apart from that, if you have a site, you also want to optimize your site. Okay, you want to make sure that the top 1/3 is very clear. Maybe you have a hero shot over there. Maybe you have a who you help statement. Perhaps you also have some kind of a call to action within that first 1/3. All of this speaks to building a solid foundation. So if you're sub-zero, this should be what you're focusing on. Now, what if you are seeing this kind of a trend? It's kind of like a gradual increase. All right, so a gradual increase. Now, this is when things are good. You want to stay focused and keep doing what you are doing. Don't, like I said, flip-flop and change things, or flip-flop and try a shiny new thing. Stay focused on your growth and keep doing what you're doing. Now, the next one is the feast and famine kind of a trend. Up and down, up and down. All right, now, when you have this kind of a trend going on, if this is what you're seeing in your business with perhaps your subscriber growth, perhaps with your revenue, you want to focus on these questions. Okay, what are you not doing during those months with dips? So when you have a dip, then perhaps are you not doing a launch? Are you not doing a specific type of promotion? Try and pinpoint what exactly it is that you're not doing. Second thing is, how can you integrate those missing elements consistently into your day-to-day work? Because once you integrate those missing elements, then obviously you are not going to see those dips, right? You would see more of a stable, predictable, consistent income. So this is what I mean when you want to identify what you're not doing and then think about integrating those elements. Now, the next thing is, can you focus on going evergreen with a couple of your campaigns, perhaps, right? If you are just really glued into launches, if you are surviving on your launches, can you think about focusing on going evergreen? Because this would help you build a predictable, stable income and get away from that feast and famine cycle. Okay. Now, the next thing could be a steep increase, all right? Not a gradual increase, a steep increase, which is a good thing to have, but it might result in problems down the road, okay? Now, you want to key in on what caused the steep increase, okay? Can you do more of it? And now, the key thing here is, can you invest where necessary to be able to deliver more based on your business model? So if you are really getting fully booked, for instance, then what do you need to invest in so that you're able to deliver on what you promised? All right, that could be in terms of freeing up a little bit of your time so that you can focus on your clients. It could be perhaps outsourcing community management if you have a group, for instance, so that you're able to focus on what matters. Okay, if you're selling more and more of your digital products, but something else is eating up into your time, perhaps you're getting lots and lots of simple questions about how do I access this or how do I do this? Perhaps you need to invest in a better type of a checkout system. So this is where you need to think about investments, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to deliver what you promise to your audience. Okay, now the next thing is a gradual decline, or more of like a plateau. Okay, now when you have a gradual decline, you want to think about increasing promotion. Now, what do I mean by increasing promotion? So promotion would be, not just sending out sales emails, all right? That's not what I mean by promotion. Promotion could be perhaps to get more eyeballs on your existing offers, okay? It could be running ads. It could be running retargeting ads, or it could be getting yourself booked on podcasts, showing up as an expert in other people's groups, for instance, on other people's shows, and channels as well. You also want to cut down on cost that doesn't contribute to the KPI. Now, the first thing that all people would typically do is, all right, they want to cut down on their marketing costs, all right? They want to cut down on ad spend, for instance, okay? But ads, do they contribute to your KPI? So do your ads contribute to sales? Do your ads contribute to your growth in your email list? And if so, then that's not the thing that you want to cut, because your first knee-jerk reaction would be to, all right, I'm going to cut down on marketing spend. I'm going to cut down on perhaps my VA that helps me get booked on podcasts. I'm going to cut down on my ads, but this could actually lead to even worse results. So you don't want to do that. Another thing you want to consider is campaign fatigue. If you've been running the same type of campaigns, quarter after quarter, after a certain time, you're going to have some fatigue. Okay, it could be with your ad campaigns as well. So do you need to perhaps switch things out? Try something new. Okay, now what if you have a steep decline? So with steep decline, yes, you want to focus on increasing promotion. This also speaks to campaign fatigue, all right? Things that used to work don't work anymore, all right? Perhaps you need to shift your messaging. Things that your audience used to resonate with before don't resonate with that anymore. Perhaps you need to relook the benefits and promises that you are making with your offers, your products and services, all right? These are the things that you want to consider. Now, if your subscriber growth has flatlined, all right, you want to think about perhaps prioritizing list building. Okay, maybe you prioritize this when you started out, but over time your focus shifted to other areas. So perhaps you need to reprioritize list building. Maybe there are leaky traffic spots on your site. If a couple of posts are very highly trafficked, but they're not able to convert to subscribers, people are not signing up for that particular lead magnet or that particular content upgrade that you had on that post, then maybe you need to change that up, and that is causing a leak in traffic. You're not able to capture the traffic. So these are areas that you want to look at. Okay, what worked before that's not working anymore? So do you need to refresh your lead magnet? Do you need to try a new lead magnet? Instead of an exit intent pop-up, do you want to perhaps try a top bar? These are things that you want to consider. Now, after you've taken a look at your KPI trends, you want to look at external factors. Okay, so what do I mean by external factors? This is your competition, and this is the broader economic climate. Okay, so your market, is your customer or client base shrinking? Do you know exactly who your competitors are, all right? And are the economic conditions likely to affect your company? So obviously with the pandemic, we know that lots of businesses have had to pivot. If you have largely been doing face-to-face workshops or face-to-face sessions or face-to-face art classes, for instance, right, or where you've been consulting with groups face-to-face, you do need to have a way to deliver your workshops or your art classes online. So these are the different changes that you need to make to match up with these external challenges or these external factors, all right, to cope with these factors and challenges. Now, what about internal? Okay, so I've already walked you through a couple of questions you should be thinking about based on your KPI trends: your revenue, your offers, your goals, and your operations. All right. Now, cost and revenue, obviously, examine your business. Okay, is revenue rising or falling? How about your profit margin? So don't get trapped into just looking at your revenue. Okay, if let's say you are bringing in $50,000 every single month, okay, but you are spending, for instance, 45,000, your costs end up at 45,000, then your profit margin is perhaps just $5,000, right? It's a very thin profit margin. So don't just focus on revenue, you want to focus on the profit. Okay, and that is something that a lot of people don't share in the online space. We are so focused on sharing these big numbers, but not a lot of people talk about what exactly is that profit after you've paid out every single person. All right, now, do you need to hire new people? Perhaps you're really drowning. Could you consider hiring perhaps a VA, or could you consider hiring someone to help you with design, especially if it's not in your zone of genius? So for me, it was during one of these plan intensive exercises that I decided, okay, the next year I better think about getting some help when it came to design, because I was not doing a good job and I was spending so much time with design and it was not really amounting to anything at all. So I decided to get help with design. All right. So make an informed decision based on your output and the information and the data that you have. All right. Now, operations, are there areas that function with little supervision and always deliver? All right. Have there been things that you've been doing that you systems you've set in place that you actually don't really need to tinker with very much? All right. Now, that would give you ideas of how you can take that and apply it to other areas within your business. All right. Are you clear on your essence or your zone of genius? Are you perhaps diluting your resources by engaging in activities outside of your zone of genius? All right. So just because something is bringing in money does not mean that it's a good kind of revenue. Now, we'll talk more about this in the days ahead. All right. But not all revenue is good revenue, or not all income is good income, because, you know, if you are spending more time and energy on it than what it's bringing in, then perhaps that's not something that you want to have as part of your business model. So that is what I mean by diluting your zone of genius. And by way of that, you are expending your energy and time as well with, and not bringing in much in return. Now, with the pandemic in view, do you need to prepare for perhaps a prolonged economic downturn? Maybe you need to think about having more accessible pricing strategies. Maybe you need to adapt or eliminate a couple of products that are just not delivering, or maybe you need to think about alternative revenue streams. Okay. Now, you want to think about what are your core competencies, where you offer the most value to clients and customers. Okay, so this is something that you want to hold on to. All right, this is your genius, your zone of genius. You want to hang on to this. Now, at the same time, you want to identify daily or weekly tasks that generate more leads and revenue than others. Because again, you want to hone in on this, all right? You want to give this priority, you want to optimize it so that it does even better. Okay, we're focusing on our strengths over here. Now, another area you want to look at in this deep dive is your digital presence, or your story, your who you help statement, your about page, for instance, or your home page. All right, your lead magnets and your overall brand. Is this still in alignment with how you show up online? Okay, perhaps the audience that you're attracting does not really align with the story that you're sharing, or perhaps the audience that you have pivoted to it's not reflected in your copy on your homepage. Or perhaps certain lead magnets need to shift because you don't serve that audience anymore. You don't really address that pain point anymore. Now, typically when I'm doing this kind of a deep dive, I would start with going through my KPI trends. Okay, I would dig into all of that information and then see where I'm at. All right, the next thing I do is go through each of these areas. So I would literally go through my site, the copy I've written there, all right, my sales pages, and keep a kind of like a running list of what I need to change, what I need to edit, what I need to completely rebrand, for instance, and what I need to perhaps do a little bit more research on if I don't have the right direction with what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so this is what I call a start, stop, keep exercise. So based on all of these different questions that I've raised, all right, the different considerations, okay, based on your KPI trends, all right, patterns would start to emerge, all right, and you would roughly get an idea of, all right, what do I need to start? Okay, what do I need to stop, and what do I actually need to keep? Now, what you would keep are obviously things that are your core competencies, where you show up best, what is working very well. You want to keep that. Okay, now what is completely not working is just a waste of time, or what is just really eating up into your resources. That's stuff that you want to stop. Now, if there are new areas that you want to go into, okay, new revenue streams, or perhaps a new pricing tier to a request that a lot of people are making, then that is something that you want to start. So use the worksheets as a guide to do the start, stop, and keep exercise. All right, so start new things for you to consider doing. Okay, that's not being done. What is ineffective that you need to stop doing? And what is working well that you want to continue or that you want to replicate? So if you want to dive deeper into all of these different aspects, consider the Create series. Each of these books has a slightly different focus. The Create Intensive Business Playbook is your coach in your pocket. All right, it's going to really help you take stock of individual digital products and offers that you have in your business, your brand, your audience, and all of those things. So go and check that book out. Okay, it's perfect for mid-year, end of the year planning exercises. Okay, the Create Blog and Editorial Planner helps you get intentional with content. If you're a paper and pen person, you really like a big book to kind of scribble in and take notes, then that is what you want to be looking out for. And then if you are in the sub-zero startup phase or in your growth phase 1, you need help with the foundation, then you should consider the Create Blog and Biz Launch Book. Okay, so your work for today or your exercises for today is to do a stock check, dive into your data, and then do the start, stop, keep exercise. So let me go ahead and stop the share right now. So I hope you guys got a lot out of today's training. As you are making your way through the worksheets, if you run into a snag, you have a doubt, you're not really sure how to work through something, or if you have a question about your own stats that you want to bring up, go ahead and drop them in the group. Okay, and tomorrow we are going to be talking about revenue streams. We are still not piecing 2022 as yet. We will get to that, I promise. Okay, we will be doing that on day 3, but I felt it's important that we talk about revenue streams so that we can bring that information into day 3 as well. So it's a little bit different from how I used to run Plan Intensive. And I feel that with this change, you will go into piecing your year on day 3. You will go into it being a lot clearer. So you will see me in your inbox again tomorrow with the link to download the worksheets and the link to the training